Tom is the author of a book, Enzymes, What the Experts Know, published in 2006, and it's a real pleasure to have him. Tom Bohager. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to discuss the role of enzymes as a therapy, specifically in cancer, but of course the research indicates that there's many more applications, but we're going to focus primarily on cancer today. And in order to do that, we have to really define what an enzyme is to begin with. On the screen now is a computer rendition of an enzyme, and enzymes are technically proteins. They're defined as proteins, and a protein is really just a combination of amino acids. But unlike any other protein, this enzyme contains what we call biological activity, or some might simplify it by saying energy. The energy is focused at a certain point, and the point is called the active site. And in this illustration, there's two white balls there, and the energy is kind of focused at that point. And that's what defines an enzyme from any other protein known to man, is the fact that it contains this biological activity. The biological activity allows the enzyme to serve as a catalyst, and it catalyzes, of course, food. It helps us break down proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. We know these as digestive enzymes. But it also catalyzes every single biochemical process in every single cell of the body, every single one. It speeds up the reactions that take place in these cells that allow us to hear, feel, walk, talk, think, breathe, do everything. These enzymes are catalysts and biochemical reactors, if you will. Some of the facts regarding enzymes is everything living manufactures enzymes. There are enzymes in plants, of course, animals, humans, and in every single living cell. They perform very specific functions. So enzymes that might be found, let's say, in your liver would not necessarily have anything to do with another organ of the body. Now there's about 5,000 named enzymes in the body, but we suspect that there are probably tens of thousands more because of the specific nature in which enzymes work within the body. They work in very specific ways and in very specific environments. For example, every enzyme has what we call an optimal pH and an optimal temperature, and a pH range and a temperature range. So if that pH should change, then the activity of the enzyme is altered. It's either slowed down or it speeds up. Of course, when we think of enzymes, we think of digestion, and we have limited time here, so we're just going to very briefly walk through the enzymes related to digestion, and it does play a role in cancer therapy, in fact. Here is just a summary of the digestive tract. What's not included here, of course, is the mouth, and in the mouth we secrete saliva. In our saliva we have three enzymes that help us break down starches or carbohydrates. Those are amylases. As we swallow the food, it enters the stomach. In the stomach we have hydrochloric acid, which is not an enzyme. We have pepsin, which helps us break down protein. Enters the small intestine. There, lipase, the enzyme that breaks down fat, is secreted. But here's where something remarkable occurs. At this moment, the body kind of takes an inventory and says, well, how much of the protein that has been consumed, how much of the carbs that have been consumed have actually been digested? And if more digestion is required, the body will then produce additional digestive enzymes, proteases and lipases and amylases, to break down the remaining foods once they enter the small intestine. Now, fats aren't broken down to the small intestine anyway. But this entire process could take anywhere from hours to days, depending on the metabolism of the individual, the quantity of the food, the type of the food, etc. But it requires an enormous amount of energy in this process. In fact, most believe, who have researched this very topic, that somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 80% of the amount of energy that we're going to consume today, tomorrow, and the next day for the rest of our lives is focused on the digestive system. 60 to 80%. And I throw that 60 in there because everything you read will say 80. I just want to have a little buffer that some of us are eating good, raw, healthy foods as a result, and less energy is required when we do that. There is a direct correlation between the amount of energy we consume for digestion and overall health. The more energy that we require our body to produce in order to digest the foods that we have just consumed, the less energy we have metabolically. And it's that metabolic energy that supports immune function, cardiovascular function, endocrine function, every function of the body. So Edward Howell, who wrote the book Enzyme Nutrition and many other books, stated this. He said, if we postpone the debilitation of metabolic enzyme activity, what we now call old age could become the glorious prime of life. What does that mean? What significance is there? Well, metabolic enzymes are those enzymes we talked about initially. These are in every single cell of the body. And these metabolic enzymes are what allow every biochemical reaction to take place. There's a connection between the amount of metabolic enzymes we have the ability to produce and the amount of stress we put on our digestive system. The lower the stress load, the higher the metabolic enzyme production. The higher the stress load on digestion, the lower the metabolic enzyme production. And that plays a key role in overall health, including, of course, cancer. The more metabolic energy we have, the healthier we are. And this is why fasting, caloric restriction, enzyme supplements, raw food, why all of these things have a significant benefit with regard to overall health and in cancer treatment. An additional quote from Edward Howell is that life ends when the worn-out metabolic enzyme activity of the body machine drops to such a low point that it is unable to carry on vital enzyme reactions. This is a true trademark of old age.